In this episode, you'll discover how to improve your rowing with progressive drills using self-diagnosis coaching.
Feel the grip of the oar handle, smooth yet firm in your hands. Taste the salt of your own sweat and the occasional splash of water. It's all part of the journey. Welcome to another episode of Faster Masters Rowing Radio. Each week, our host, Masters rowing coach Rebecca Caro, dives deep into the world of Masters rowing. Whether you're on the water or in the gym, join us to become a faster master. Let's go rowing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Faster Masters Rowing Radio. I'm Rebecca Caro, and today we're going to be talking about self-diagnosis coaching. This may sound like a bit of a labored concept, but it's a really powerful coaching tool. So whether you're a coach or an athlete, you can help the athlete work it out for themselves. Now, why is this particularly useful for masters athletes? As older people with life experience, we like to have a bit more autonomy in how we relate to coaches. There's a very good bit of work which came out of a Canadian university, which I will link to in the show notes, which talks about the athlete-coach relationship. And there's a very notable difference when working with older athletes about how they like to interact with a coach. It is not the same as working with school kids who generally expect to be told what to do and are happy to do that. If a coach tries to do that coaching method exclusively with masters, they quite quickly work out that it's not appreciated. Now, self-diagnosis coaching is a really useful tool for those of us who don't have regular coaching. And it has to start with a model of good rowing. I use the word model advisedly because although there are lots of different rowing styles, we need to have a pre-agreed way we row and scull, which is common to everyone in your coaching group, in your club. My club recently reviewed the British rowing, the Australian rowing and the New Zealand rowing coaching models. And we bought a poster that we now have hanging at the back of the rowing club shed, where there are a whole load of still images that help you to see this rowing stroke cycle and what it should look like. When you know that, then you can say, where are we falling short of that gold standard model of how we should be rowing? So identifying where things go wrong is the first part. Let me tell you a little story. A crew of strong athletes who can really stomp on the foot stretcher and the boat goes wonky. It doesn't track straight. And one of the athletes complains, it doesn't go straight. You need to fix the fin or the skeg or something. What the coach said to me was, yeah, right, which is a very Kiwi way of expressing your point of view. If you apply your power in an evenly balanced mode, you'll make the boat go straight. If you're being unbalanced, you are causing this problem of the boat going wonky. So that's good diagnosis of what's happening. So you have to know that the boat not going straight is a problem, and that is compared with your model. So how can we fix it when we're coaching ourselves and using self-diagnosis? An easy place to start is to work out what's happening when it's not got the problem. So when you're rowing and it is going straight, that's good. And then to progressively make changes. In this case, the suggestion was increases in pressure because these people were really stamping on the foot stretcher. So it was probably a pressure application or power application issue that was causing the boat not to go straight. Increase the pressure every 10 strokes, going up in percentages. So you can be quite precise. Start at 50% rowing, increase it to 60, increase it to 70, and so on. And as you get closer to maximal effort, then the chances are you'll work out when the wonkiness starts to happen, when it starts to creep into your rowing pattern. That's the point at which you can then stop as a crew or just on your own and discuss, what did I do differently? Do it again. Build up progressively again. Find out what it was that you think began to cause that steering not going straight issue. And you'll see when the boat goes off from your ideal model of good rowing. Of course, that is quite straightforward, because you first start, what do we do that causes the problem? What do we do that fixes the problem? Can I fix it in one stroke? So those are the first 3 steps. As soon as you've identified that the problem's happening, what are you going to do to fix it? And then can you do it in as few strokes as possible? And of course, progressing on from that is, can we stop doing that thing altogether so that we don't have to fix it, and the new way of rowing that doesn't cause the problem is part of our normal tracking? I'll give you another example, which is boat balance. It's often the case that people find that the boat goes off balance, particularly in sweep, when each athlete is only in control of one oar, and so they have to work much more closely with their partner to ensure that the boat stays balanced. You may notice that the boat is generally balanced when you're have the oars under the water, and it's generally unbalanced when the oars are out of the water. So let's use that as our scenario. Our model of good rowing is that the boat is balanced when the oars are both in the water and out of the water. Where does it go wrong? So the first thing is, as the oars are coming out of the water at the end of the power phase, is the boat balanced? If the answer is yes. Is the boat still balanced when we get our arms straight? Yes. Is it still balanced when we move our bodies and rock forwards? Yes. Is it still balanced when we start rolling up the slide? Maybe that's where the no comes into place. So you begin to work out where the problem starts, and then you've got to work out, what is it that we do that causes this problem? Now, in the case of boat balance, it might be that we're not all moving our handles at the same time. We're not all straightening our arms and rocking our bodies, rocking your body perhaps at a slightly different time. You get onto the slide a little earlier than someone else who's a little later. And so it appears that the balance goes off when you're on the slide coming up toward the catch. So what fixes it? In this instance, probably it's handle heights. It might also be your sequencing off the back and your timing. So we've got 2 possible causes. One is timing of the recovery movements, and the other is the height of the handle. Let's say we discuss it and the height of the handle is our decision. So what is it that we can do that fixes it? Well, the answer is we need to learn how to all direct our handles to the same height. And one way to do that is a drill where you row on the recovery with your oar flat on the water. So it runs along the surface, and then you just square it to take a normal stroke, run your oar along the surface. And then you do the progressive movements, which I talked about earlier. In this case, you progressively increase the depth that you push the handle down to take the oar out of the water. Now, the depth you use to take the oar out of the water should be the same depth that you maintain your handle height at all the way until you put it in water at the next catch. So progressively tap down the handle 1 centimetre. So your oars are just hovering above the water surface. The reason we started with the oars on the surface is because the boat is level if everybody's oars are on the surface. If it's not level when you're doing that, you need to again make sure that people are finishing with the handles at the same height, and then keep that handle at that exact same height as you roll forwards to the catch. So our progressive movement is a 1 centimetre tap down, a 2 centimetre tap down, and maybe a 3 centimetre tap down. Can you keep the boat balanced? And then we move back into our self-diagnosis coaching methodology. What do we do that causes the problem? Handles at different heights. What fixes it? making sure that we're all tapping down to the same place. And perhaps you might also say, and sequencing at the same time. So our timing aspect is also incorporated. And then, can we fix it? So can we row normally, find the boat goes off balance, correct it in one stroke? And then, of course, the step after that, the fourth step, is can we stop doing this altogether? And it's probably erratic handle heights or a lack of accuracy in timing. So that's a suggestion for you this week, using self-diagnosis coaching. So the coach suggests the methodology, or if you are without a coach, the crew can discuss it. And together, you use your autonomy to decide to try one way of fixing this issue and see if you can make it work, and then see if you can continue to make it work when or if it reoccurs. Have a great week. Till next time. Bye-bye.
We are part of the RowingChat podcast network. Please tell your fellow rowers about the show. If you've learned just one helpful thing from today's episode, please consider supporting the show for as little as $1 per month by visiting fastermastersrowing.com/podcast.